everybody, this is Dave Nasty with nextlevelguitar.com, and today what I want to talk about is some legato movement that we can do with our left hand. I think it's really important to talk about some of the cool movement and the flow that you can get from this technique. For all you alternate pickers out there, this is a very crucial thing to work on because a lot of times your right hand is kind of faster than your left, so we want to make sure that we can sync some of these things up. Hey everybody, before I forget, you see that link below in the YouTube text box. Go ahead and click on that link if you want a lesson available from nextlevelguitar.com that is not available on YouTube, along with a coinciding ebook, free. You get all kinds of great information in that ebook. It is well worth it. So you see that link below, go ahead and click on that YouTube text box. We're going to be in the key of A minor today, and we're going to take some examples combining the B and E strings and some different scale shapes. So let's just kind of outline what we got there. We're going to be in A minor, as I said before, so we're going to play our aeolian scale shape. That's going to start here in the 5th position, and that's going to cover 5, 7, and 8, or A, B, and C, right? And then we're going to go D, E, F, 5, 7, 9 for G, A, B, 5, 7, 9 on the 3rd string. I've jumped up a half step and I went 6, 8, and 10, right? So that's my F, G, and A. And then I've got B, C, and D. All the notes in the key of A minor or C major in this particular case. So we have. Okay, so we're going to combine that with the use of our G mixolydian scale, right? And that is our 5th degree in the key of C, shifting over here to the 3rd fret. We're going to outline our ever popular mixolydian scale in this position. We're going to go 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to talk about this pattern that we're going to use to be comfortable with within this particular shape. Let's start with aeolian, and we're going to start on the 10th fret, or our D note, with our pinky. So this pattern that we're going to do covers quite a bit of notes, and you're only striking the string one time. So you get 1, 2, 3, hammer back up for 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to do that particular technique and we're going to go ahead and practice first through that scale shape. So the way that I got comfortable with this is I would just start really slow, of course, right, with our metronome, and I would make sure all the notes ring clear and that you don't rush any of them. When you have so many hammer-ons and pull-offs together, sometimes people will and kind of maybe bunch a couple of them together when it should be just played smoothly through. So you have going to the next one. Really fun thing to play, and it's got a nice cascading effect with your notes. Okay, so we're going to take that and we're going to apply the same technique to mixolydian. And now we're going to take this technique and exploit it throughout both scale shapes. So let's get started with some different ways to kind of go ahead and do this. We're going to start simply with this. So what that is a whole lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, right? And we're going to start in an ascending motion from our 6th fret on our B string, and that's your F note, and we're going to go just like this. Only picked one time. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're going to keep it going. A really nice rolling effect, right? Just to go ahead and get us started with the motion of it. If we start with this, Go down 1/2 step. So we're just getting comfortable with the idea of this technique. Let's go ahead and add one more scale shape to it though, just so that way we can get some extra use out of it. We're gonna do, from B, we're going to play our next one that comes, of course, after Aeolian, right? And that is our Locrian shape. So what I want to do is I want to focus on just the B and the E strings. Using that scale, these are going to be the shapes that we outline on our B and E strings. Really slowly, you have this. So it's so much sliding and all this movement. Let's break it down so it's really, really easy to understand. I'm going to start with a downstroke on my B string, and I'm going to play through the B and E strings of that scale shape. Pull off, and then I'm going to go from there, and I'm going to slide 1 fret to my left. From there, I'm going to go ahead and go into the Aeolian scale, and I'm going to ascend and then pull off on that high E string. That's going to give me this. So let's notice what happened there. We started in an ascending motion on the B string. We've shifted with our first finger from the 8th fret down to the 7th fret when we went into the different mode of Aeolian, and then we've actually ended on our F here. So slowly you have this. Now we want to keep that moving, so I'm going to go ahead and ascend and do the same thing and apply this shift down into mixolydian. So that gives me this. Slide. Slide. So slowly again. Okay. So when you start with your hammer-ons and pull-offs, or particularly legato technique in which we're talking about, it's always really good to just take those 3 scales that we played, play them very slowly, and just get comfortable with that initial. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. Look at the distance that's going on with your hands there, and you've got all your different shapes. You have 2 whole steps. You've got a half step and a whole step. You've got a whole step and a half step. So you can even take just those, aside from what I was just talking about, and work on that all into itself, atonally. People do that sometimes. So I'm gonna go somewhere else here for a minute, and I'll come right back to what we were just talking about. You take the movement of 2 whole steps. You can play it atonally, straight across the guitar. Go up a fret. I mean, that's going to work your fingers out. Every single time I see people play this stretch, they say the same thing. They go, ugh, because of the fact that it's just so spread out. One other thing to address, you can use your middle finger for this center note, or you can use your 3rd finger. Oftentimes people will use their middle because they feel like they have a bit more control with this part of their hand, and you don't want your hand to kind of drift away. You got to think, you're pulling off so many notes that when you exaggerate that motion, you don't want to, you want to avoid that altogether. You want your hand to be nice and still. You can do that with every single shape that you'll come into contact with. So of course then you have half steps and whole steps, and that's half step here and a whole step here. You can do the same thing. Now I understand that it doesn't necessarily sound like the most musical thing to do in the world, but it just isolates the motions that you come into contact with your diatonic scale shapes. Do the same thing, whole step, half step. That's always a good way to kind of warm up before we dive into some of these licks that we do, right? So to get back to this really quick and finish this out, we have this motion. Back up again. Alright everybody, just a couple of examples that we could do to get used to moving that left hand around. I appreciate you checking it out. Please go to nextlevelguitar.com for all those great lessons and segments that you get that you can do straight from the comfort of your own home. Thank you so much.